Hi everyone, this is what I have this morning. Broken tip, rusty, typical from high carbon. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, I'll just rub it off gently. Beautiful knife, full wooden handle, full wooden ferrule. That's a great little project. So if you want, follow along and see how I sharpen it. It's very thin, but first we'll clean it. Well, first I'm going to take it over to the sander and fix that tip. Then look how thin that is. My gosh. All right, let's get started. Before I get started, there is a patina question. So this has got a full black paint job all the way to the top. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. If I'm going to be sanding this tip, this is going to be shiny. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shine it and then let the patina take over again. There's not much that I can do about that. But let's get this tip cleaned, repaired first, and then we'll clean the blade. So that's got its shape back. I also gave the edge a little touch so that I could get a shine on that again and give us a perfect edge, just a very light touch. So now I'm going to work that spine on my sandpapers and then polish it on the chrome oxide, and the whole thing will just have to be shiny at the top. It'll regain its patina at some point in the future. Alright, so onto the sandpapers. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I've got some light emery. It used to be rough, but it's been used a lot, so that's very light. Won't be very abrasive. I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. And in fact, that doesn't look aggressive enough, so I'm going to get some new emery. I'm going to give that a bit more of a aggressive touch. That's a bit better. Still got some marks there that I'm not really going to worry about too much. They look like manufacturing marks, so it wasn't super smooth, but it did have a slight radius, so I'm going to make sure that I maintain that and there's no harsh edges from the sanding. So a little bit more. Okay, that looks a bit better, maybe a little bit more on the side here. Okay, now I'm going to get my 2000 grit. I mean, this was probably around about 300 grit, but that's okay to go straight to the 2000. We could maybe give it a little bit of a hand. With some 1000. Why not? Get to that in a minute. Ow. Who saw that coming? That's a bit nicer. Starting to get a bit of a gleam on there now. Let's move it on to the 2000. And wherever you can, of course, use fresh paper. And I count my strokes usually. That comes from my headlight restoration experience. When you count your strokes, you're far more likely to do an even job. So I count in groups of 8. Usually in groups of 4. Not always, but just to make sure that I don't go too fast. Okay, that's a bit better. Starting to get a bit of a shine. Now I don't know whether a shine is appropriate on this knife, but it is now. So now onto my 3000 Trizact. Actually, that one's a bit used. I've got some ones here from Headlight Restoration that are only lightly used. They're not much use on plastic, but they'll certainly give this a shine. Of course, if black marks are coming off, that means metal is coming off as well. Now I wonder if this Trizact will remove this rust just gently. Don't know what's going on down here. That looks pretty rough. Bit of rust stain in there. I'll just try and brush that out with a little brass brush. Let's give this a bit of a rub. Just dry with the 3000 and see what happens. Yeah, sort of. Still needs to get those divots out. I think it needs something rougher. Let's try this 1000. I know this is going to be removing metal, but has to come off. So I'm going to try not to sand on that black. Not sure if I'll be able to remove the pitting. And maybe that's just going to have to stay. And do we dare go to the emery? Let's see what happens. I don't know, what do you reckon? Shall I leave it like that? I'm talking as if you can interact, but you know, this is what I would be thinking to myself as well anyway. Alright, I'm going to take it off with this emery, and then try and shine it up a bit, make it a little bit pretty, even though that may not be its initial character. It is now. Of course, the knife is still very blunt, so there's not much chance of cutting myself. Remember, we've got a full square edge there. I'm getting shiny and dull. There's a large crater here which I don't think I'm going to be able to do much about. I'll give it a few more minutes. And in fact, I might get some fresh paper. And then I'll hit it with the 1000 and the 2000, and we'll see how good we can get this. Am I aiming for mirror? Would it be nice, but I don't think we're going to get mirror spec. The trick is to count the strokes so you're doing evenly all the way through. So I'm generally counting 4 groups of 8, and before I move on to another area. Alright. Now there's obviously some grinding marks from the process of the original manufacturing process, but that's clean enough, I think. Let's hit it with the 1000. I can hear it getting quieter and quieter, so that's a good thing. Flat is shiny. Shiny is flat. Alright. On to the 2000. Oh, put it under there. Could be better, but I think that's good enough. If we kept going through those progressions and using a wooden block and really getting in there until it was full shiny, I think that would probably come up fantastic, but it's not my knife and I'm only getting paid to improve it a little bit, not make it super mirror. But I think it'll be impressive anyway. Japanese wheel in the background. So, not too bad. Obviously up close and straight up, it doesn't look beautiful, but not bad. I'm sure the critics will hate it. But nobody ever erected a statue to a critic, am I right? So, let's see if we can give it a bit of a shine. With some auto sol. Dabbed on the 3000. And give it a sanding polish at the same time. See if that does anything. Okay, we're getting blackness, so that's a good thing. I wonder if that made a difference. Yeah, a little bit. May as well continue. Give it a little cloth polish as well. Yuck, too much. Give it a spray of alcohol, clean all that polish off. It's not perfect. But it's a thing. Yeah. Oh, I'll do the other side. Oh, how am I going to do this now? I'll have to do it on the other side, or I have to bring this up here and work off this edge. Okay, there's some 1000. Okay, now some 2000. Okay. Some 3000 raw. Alright. Now give it a little bit of polish sanding. Actually, this is dead. Grab a new one. Oops. We don't want any on that. Okay. Alcohol makes everything better. Right, let's see what we got. Not bad. Good enough, I reckon. So now I'm going to take it over to the polishing wheel and see if I can maybe improve that a little bit more. Load it up. First I'll do the spine. Not sure what angle I'm going to sharpen this at. We'll measure it first. I think I'm just going to put a little micro on there, maybe a 20 degrees, keep it small. We don't want a big gigantic bevel. It should cut just fine because the geometry of the knife, very thin. This is 8000 grit, so it's quite polishy. Now I wonder if I can get some shine on here. Right, so this is what's happening here. I'm just rocking it gently, try not to go into the black. See if we can get some more shine. Fairly controllable, just by rocking it backwards and forwards. I seem to be able to feel when it gets up into the thick. Right. That's good. Use lots of compound. See, now obviously I'm bloking out here, so you know this is, I'm only charging $25 for this repair, so obviously it's a labour of love. I love doing this sort of stuff. It's not a chore for me at all. It's a Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning actually. So I'm loving it. Hanging out with you guys as well. It's been a little while since I put a video up, but nothing crazy has come across the bench. It's all just ordinary stainless knives, which I'm sure you've seen plenty of so far. I'm going to try and keep it to weird stuff that comes across the bench, like this. Plus this is going to be purdy. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Right. We've got some shine going there, I think we have. Do the other side before I polish it off for the big reveal. Bit of a mess around the place, just how I like it. This is a real working workshop, or sharpery, as I sometimes call it. This channel was going to be called The Sharpery, but I decided on I Sharpen, slightly more brandable. Plus, when I finally come out with merch, you guys, because you sharpen, you can wear my I Sharpen t-shirts because they'll be accurate. You do sharpen. Let me know if you would buy merch. It's a bit of a hassle to set up, and they're so expensive. Can't believe some of the prices people are asking for t-shirts. It's not the 80s anymore, is it? I don't know if I'd pay 40 or 50 bucks just for a t-shirt, no matter how awesome you think this channel is. Oh, I'm missing a few bits at the top here. That's better. Wonder how sharp I'm going to be able to get this. We'll give it a BESS test now that YouTube has given me the money to buy 50 billion BESS clips. That looks fairly even. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Give it an Irish, to be sure, and to be sure. This is a long clip. I'm not going to do any time lapse because you're here to relax and watch somebody do some work, right? Now this will not be a have I ruined this knife. No fake drama. I don't think I have ruined this knife. I think I've made it better. So I'm just going to give it a simple title, and hopefully you guys appreciate that. Alright, I reckon that's as polished as that's going to get. Spine come out great. me give it a spray. All right, this is it. That's all I'm going to do. It's not super mirror, but it's definitely improved. Not bad on the side anyway, but when you look at it flat on, you can tell that it's not perfect. But then again, imperfection is perfection. What am I trying to say there? You know what I mean. Asymmetry has some beauty as well. So it's good that that black remained. Nice. Not bad. All right, let's give it a bit of a sharpen. Okay, so before I go too far, I have a little brass brush here. I'm just going to see if I can rub off these rust stains in here. Not coming off too easily. Well, sort of are. Don't want to rub off that blackness. That's good enough. Nice. All right. Pop it on the clamp. Now, let me measure the wheel first. Down to 237. 25, 30, 35, 37. And let's set this to 20 and just see what it looks like. I'd rather give it too little for starters than too much. Bit too far. Okay, now before I go do that, let's measure the edge. Let me clean this first. What do you think it's going to be? I'm guessing, and I haven't measured this, or not that I can remember, I'm guessing it's going to be about a 27. Ooh, 25. Not bad. I had a commenter the other day saying, most knives are less than 20. Cluelessness is a disease. Let's see right at the back here. Bit difficult. pretty thin, less than 30 all round. Because it's a square edge, I'm going to give it a 80 prep. The wheel is not fully square, and it's got a little bit of a out of round on this side. That side's not too bad. If you're concerned about that, go and fry some eggs. Alright, let's have a look. Pretty slender. Obviously you get a burr pretty quickly at these angles. Full burr. Doesn't look too bad. Tip needs a bit more work. What do you think? That looks correct to me. Heel's a little bit overcooked, but you know, perfection is overrated. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. I think that because it's so thin, we'll be able to take that 20 and do a good job with it. So let's smooth it off with some 320. What do you think the best score is going to be? I reckon we can crack 100. We'll know by the cigarette paper test how smooth it is through there. The BESS knives, they glide straight through from the beginning all the way to the end. And they're about 90. Some were 87. One was 77. BESS knives are selling well, but I still have some left over. If you want one, let me know. Just email me. BESS knife at isharpen.com.au. That's BESS knife at isharpen.com.au. I've just noticed I forgot to replace the water on this, so this won't be a beautiful grind. Beautiful looking grind anyway. Alright, that's it. Let's take that burr off. Burr is at the top. Now, some people are having trouble deburring. My advice is keep it light. And you need a few passes and then test on your fingernail. That is smooth but feels sharp. It's digging into my nail a little bit. So I think this is going to be a great sharpen. So there we go. First off, what's it like off the wheel? Ooh, straight in. And very nice. A little bit noisy. I'm just going to give it a few light passes. That's it. Let's give it a BESS test. $157. That's a bit poor. $136. Still not happy with that. If that doesn't improve with some stropping, I'm going to grind it at a sharper angle because that's unacceptable. Anyone who's happy with a 136 is not really trying very hard. Yeah, that is a bit crackly and a bit noisy. Let's see if that's improved it at all. Worse. Worse. Okay. So I'm going to give it a bigger angle. Could be that 20 was just too severe. What should we give it this time? Let's give it a cheeky 30. 28. Go all the way. Hopefully it won't be too massive. Before I start, I'm going to mark that bevel. See how this goes. Oh, not too bad. Looks good. Make sure everything's tight. Okay. Obviously it's a larger bevel, but until it gets to the back fatness, it's quite fat at the back, it doesn't get too massive, but that looks okay at the front. Well, let's shine that up and see what we get. Okay, a little bit more on this side. All right, well, not too bad. The base, the heels get a little bit wonky, but that one's got a bit of a dip there. I don't know what's going on there, but here's what it is. Should sharpen. Let's get that burr off. Very light touch. Still more to come off. That's us. Now we'll give it a BESS test before I touch it on the kangaroo. If it even needs any kangaroo. Cigarette test will tell me. Don't have to strop everything, I suppose. Let's have a look. Yeah, that looks good. If this tests well, I'm not going to touch it on the kangaroo, because why would I? $121, that's not satisfactory at all. Don't like 121. So kangaroo strop it is. Light strokes, trying to match the bevel as much as possible. Let's give it a bit of suede. Right. Oh, that does feel better. That does. $77. Oh, what am I doing? I'm in a craze. Let's repeat that 77. $84. $83. Happy with that. So that is my rusty Japanese knife repair. Not too bad. A little bit shiny on the angle. Spine came out fantastic. Of course that will re-patina because it's carbon steel. So this should darken up again, but I'm very happy with that. You happy with that? Sweet. See you in the next video.